Let's go, man. Hey, don't take nothing for granted, man. Everything we do with speed and passion, man. Let's go out here, have some fun, have a day. Hey, Falcons on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Welcome in, Falcons fans. It's your boy, Bryce Lewis. Back at it again. And today, I'm going to do a little video on QB1 for the Atlanta Falcons, Desmond Ridder. The Desmond Ridder debate continues, and I'm going to break down the quarterback situation for the Falcons, what I think of Desmond Ridder's situation going into this year. Should we believe in him or should we not believe in him is the question. Half of the fan base likes him, half of the fan base doesn't. So I'm going to break down a little bit what I think about the situation. You guys can give me y'all's thoughts in the comments or on my Twitter, Bryce_2K. Just let me know what you think of Desmond Ridder in this situation. I mean, if I change people's minds in this video, great. If I make someone feel better about their opinion, great. If I make them not feel better about their opinion, great too. I feel like opinions are great and we all have our own opinions. So let me just go ahead and dive right in. So obviously Desmond Ridder was named QB1 earlier this offseason by Arthur Smith. And pretty much even Arthur Blank gave him his blessing. I know a lot of people are torn on, is he good enough? And we only got 4 games last year to really see that. And listen, I agree. In the 4 games that he played, he improved each game. But there are obviously things that you saw that he needs to improve, or else that could be an issue. But there are also things that he did that kind of was like, hey, that works. Like that's what you want from your starting season too. He already has that covered. The one thing you want is a guy who's going to work hard. You don't want a guy who maybe knows he's not the most talented, but isn't giving his 100% best to be able to be the best version of himself he can be. You want him in the lab, and I think Ridder is definitely in the lab this offseason. He's going to come to every voluntary workout, every chance he gets to work out with his new guys, new tight end, new receivers, new running backs, new everybody. He wants to build the chemistry with all of them so he can make sure that they have that connection when the season begins. And so that out of the way, I think is just a great plus right there. And then when you actually get into what he can do with this team and the system is, look, listen, Arthur Smith and Terry have given him the weapons. They've given him the support. You drafted Bijan Robinson. We know what he can do. A very explosive running back, can be receiver, can obviously get the ball through on the ground. Like, he can do everything basically. And Ridder, if you see the interview he did with Michael Smith the other day, he said one of the big things he wanted about Bijan is his pass blocking. That was big for him, because he knows, listen, a running back who can pass block is extremely important, and Bijan can. You still have Algier from last year. He had a great end of the year last year. Kind of reminds me, this running back duo kind of reminds me a bit of Michael Turner, LaDainian Tomlinson, maybe CJ, Chris Johnson, Lendell White. That's what they kind of remind me of. And so they're going to have a great running game. And we can't forget about Cordell Patterson. He still is a former receiver playing running back. So you don't know, if I said they may do formations where they have Cordell Patterson and Bijan out as receivers and have Tyler as a running back. They can do a lot with this. And so they're giving that versatility to Desmond to be able to know we have, and that's just the running backs, to give him the weapons. And then you get into the receiving core. And Drake London, we already saw at the end of last year with Desmond and Drake, they have a connection. They have, that connection down. Like I can only see that connection getting even better. Drake is very much a supporter of Desmond. And so that with your number one receiver is important. Because, remember, one thing sometimes I felt like with Matt Ryan and Julio, some people felt like the connection wasn't always there between the two of them. I felt like immediately with Desmond Ridder and Drake London, the connection is there between the both of them. And I think that will contribute to them having a big year. And I think Drake London will probably have a 1,000-yard season. Then you added guys like Matt Collins. As much as Matt Collins has bounced around the league, I've watched Matt Collins throughout his career. He's made plays. He made plays in Miami. He made plays in Las Vegas. I think he'll make plays here. He kind of gives me Mohamed Sanu vibes. Kind of when we signed him, I know the fan base was kind of like, and then he ended up being a really good number 2. I think Matt can be a good number 2 for us, because I think also this isn't going to be a passing game under Arthur Smith where he's going to throw it 40, 45 times. He wants to probably throw it between 20 to 30 times a game. So realistically, if you had a high volume of throws you were going to have a game, then yeah, you maybe want to have maybe more receiver the more receiver depth, or maybe a better number 2 potentially. And they still might. I mean, I know Corey Davis has been in the rumor mill if the Jets go ahead and cut him after they sign Randall Cobb. But, you know, if they don't, I mean, he's not a bad option there. He's a big, tall guy, strong receiver, veteran, leader in the receiving group, in the receiving room, and is a good blocker, which is important, obviously, if the Falcons are going to continue to have a dominant running game. And then you added Scotty Miller, who, speedster, and a shifty slot, can definitely make plays and really maybe be a big play guy for the Falcons. And I think Desmond has now the weapons to work with offensively within those 2 position groups that you could get a pretty good, like, I would think an elite quarterback. I feel like Desmond, I feel like Desmond could have a good productive season with those guys. And I haven't even gotten this at the tight ends. You got Kyle Pitts back. Because one of the things about last year's 4-game evaluation that was always difficult was that he didn't have Kyle Pitts, you know, and people feel like outside of that, outside of having Drake London, you really didn't have that much. So what was he supposed to look like? And people have been comparing stats. They said Josh Allen, his first 4 starts, had worse stats than Desmond Ridder had in his first 4 starts. And I've brought up this example multiple times. Lamar Jackson was not a great thrower at all in his first few starts. He was an elite runner, and Baltimore did an amazing job of making sure he had comfortable concepts so he could still be effective when he did throw. But we knew there was still a big path ahead, or a big, journey ahead for him to improve as a passer. Same thing with Josh. Josh was not good as a thrower when he first played. He could only run realistically. He was okay. He wasn't really that good at throwing the ball. And now he's a better thrower of the football. So now, going back to Desmond, you have these weapons. You also added John Smith, who is an underrated receiving tight end and a solid blocker as well. You drafted Matthew Bergeron and fortified your offensive line with Caleb McGarry. You think if he plays like he did last year, he's the top right guard. Lidstrom is considered one of the best right guards in the game, not the best. You got Jake Matthews, who's solid. You got Bergeron, who could be a really good starter this year and continue to get better. I mean, the biggest question you have is Drew Dahlman, but I mean, if you have 4 solid linemen, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's good enough to still have a really good offensive line in this league. And I think that's going to give Desmond the protection he needs to be able to read defenses and make plays. And if he can't, then okay. Because here's the one thing also about the Desmond Ridder debate that I think is underrated. He's just a 3rd-round pick. If he doesn't work out, it's not like the Falcons are tied to him for 5 years. They can move off of him like that. They can get off of Desmond Ridder very quickly. It's not like he's going to be there, for the next few years because they have to. You can move off of Desmond. The Falcons may be in a position where if they feel like the roster is good enough with the quarterbacks holding them back, they can easily make one of those Ram-ish type of moves, trade picks away, and get a franchise QB or trade up to get a quarterback in the draft. There are outs here in the Desmond Ridder situation. This isn't end-all be-all. I think when you're trying to just determine if you're going to be a fan or if you think he's going to be good, I feel like sometimes come from the perspective of if we go with Desmond, what are we doing as a franchise? Like, oh my God, we're going to be bad for the next few years or something. And I'm like, you do realize if he's bad this year, they can easily get off of him next year. He's a 3rd-round pick. He'll cost them nothing. So really, this is kind of a low, for the Falcons, I feel like this regime feels like this is a low-risk situation. This is not a high-risk situation. This is a very low risk, but could have potentially high reward if he ends up balling out. And then, with the talent that you've accumulated, you would think the Falcons should be a playoff team. So you look at all that, I mean, realistically, Desmond, I feel like, has been put in a position to succeed. And now he just has to succeed. It's just as simple as that. If he doesn't succeed, then obviously we know he's not him. If he does succeed, then, So I don't think there's a lot to be worried about in that regard when it comes to Desmond. The biggest thing you just want to see from him is just his continued growth. You want to see his continued development. You want to see him get better week by week, And this is the thing. This is the thing about Desmond Ridder's development. Development is not cute. Development is not sexy. It's not flashy. It's not fast all the time. Development takes time. This regime has showed you with multiple positions, not even just with Desmond, that they want to develop. They believe they can make guys improve under their leadership and be good NFL players. People have felt like the Falcons are going to be the worst team in the NFL for the last 2 years, and they've ended up being 7-10. And a lot of people credit the coaching staff for that. The Falcons won a lot of games last year. It wasn't like they were getting blown out. There were only like a couple of games where they just got handled. Outside of that, I would say 14, 15 games, they pretty much were in them and competitive. And about maybe 4 or 5, a play could have changed the entire complexion of the game. It could have been an extra 3-4 wins for the Falcons if they had went their way. So, if this roster's gotten better, and we think Mariota's not that good, and then we have Desmond, who we realistically, just needed to be better than Mariota? Why wouldn't the team be better? You know? So, I think Desmond has a great opportunity in front of him to be good. It's just a matter of is he going to do it? Is he going to be good? That's just literally as simple as I can put it to you. Is he going to be good? That's really as simple as I can put it to you. The Falcons I feel like have done a great job of just accumulating all of this talent to help him be good. Bat for 4, 5, 6 straight weeks in a row, then we have our answers. We know what he is. But if he's good, even if he has a bad game, I mean, even the top quarterbacks in this game have bad games. You know, like you can't just say Alpha 1 like, oh yeah, he's not good. There has to be patience. Listen, I feel like in today's game with quarterbacks, we think if you ain't lighting teams up for 350 and 3 touchdowns, you're not going to be a good quarterback. If you actually remember what quarterbacks, especially when they were rookies, had to go through back in the day, some guys were terrible in the rookie. Just god-awful if you saw it. But they eventually improved, worked at it, and then they became good quarterbacks. And some even franchise quarterbacks and Hall of Fame quarterbacks. So my question just is like, why can't we give Desmond that same opportunity? Why does it have to be if he isn't good ASAP? He just isn't good at all. I feel like this regime, like I said, since they believe in development, they're going to give him all the time in the world to get better. If he's rocky in week 1, but he's rock solid by week 5, I mean, they're going to be pretty happy about that. They're not going to sit there and be like, we're mad. But at the same time, they know. I'm sure Desmond knows. We are expecting to win some games this year. So we need you to be good. So we need you to be ready to go and ready to rock and roll. This isn't a matter of they're just going to let him. They're not going to baby Desmond. I think they're going to say, Desmond, we need you to throw this thing and we need you to make big plays through the air. We need you to make throws. We're not going to baby you. You can tell certain offenses in the league, certain quarterbacks, they're being babied. You can tell they're like, ooh, we don't trust him. I feel like Arthur Smith's going to trust Desmond to go out there and make big throws and say, if you're really him and you really are ready to be in this position, you'll make these throws. If not, we'll keep that noted. And then when the offseason comes, thank you for your service. It's as simple as that, guys. It's as simple as that. So whatever side you're on, if you're a Ridder rider or a Desmond or you hate Ridder or whatever, you don't think he's going to be good, everybody's side right now is valid till we actually see him play on the field week 1. Till we see that, we cannot make a final determination. Don't try to be that person who's just trying to guess he's going to be bad or guess he's trying to be good. It's okay to not know what you're going to get from him. It's literally okay. This is why we play the game, to know if someone's good. No reason to just be trying to make that judgment now off a 4-game sample size. That's not a lot of games to determine if someone's good. Let me see him in week 8, 9, 10. And then if he's still playing not good or he's not developing well, then okay, we'll probably have more of an idea of what kind of quarterback he is. But until that happens, let's give him time. Let's get into OTAs. Let's get into mini camps. Let's get into training camp. Let's get into preseason. Just see how he does. I'm sure people are going to be waiting for those training camp reports wondering, did Desmond do well today? Did he do bad today? Is he doing well? Is he doing bad? Well, we're gonna see. I think Desmond, like I said, he could be really good to me, but he might be bad. I have no idea. I don't have all the answers either. So this is just the fun part of this. It's just trying to see what he ends up becoming and seeing if he can be the guy the Falcons expect him to be. Because if they do, man, the Falcons could be a playoff team by the end of the year. You never know. But that's all I got to say about Desmond right now, man. I think I touched on a lot of points. If y'all want to ask me any questions or anything that I haven't touched on, like I said, leave it down in the comments below. Wherever you're seeing this video, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whatever. Just let me know what you think. Let me know what you're thinking or feeling, and I'll get back to you guys as soon as I can. But let me know what you think of Desmond Ridder. Do you think he has a chance? Do you think he doesn't have a chance? Like I said, every opinion is valued to me. You know, you have your opinion, you have your stance, you live on that stance, and then we just wait and see what happens when week 1 comes, and we'll see if you're right or wrong. So that's all I got for you guys. It's your boy Bryce Lewis. See you next time.